Why aren't the courageous folks among us initiating a grassroots movement? Will a little child lead them? Beloved, it is not who we want God to say it through. It's not what we say or think. It's what God says. It's all about the message, irrespective of who dispenses or delivers it. God does not want to destroy people. And it is this unconditional love that propels me to obey Ezekiel 33:10-20, where he charges, Son of man, speak to the children of Israel for me. Family of Israel, everyone will be judged for what they do, close quotes. To guard against fulfilling 2 Timothy 4:3-4, I am only doing what I believe God wants me to do. Though Ezekiel 33:32-33 says, you are to them like a sensual song by one who has a beautiful voice and plays well on an instrument. For they hear your words, but they do not practice them. So when it comes to pass, as surely it will, then they will know that a prophet has been in their midst, close quotes. Whether you hear or forbear, yet I venture to declare the vision of heaven to our nation without fear or favor. For good is the word of the Lord. Thanks again for listening. Peace.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Subina Vidal Valentine, for your message. And yet another powerful message to the listening public. And I know you out there always appreciate the message that we hear every Friday or whenever the message is available. Um, Quite honestly, I got the message very early, but today I was very, very, very busy. They actually reached about almost 5:50. So I only heard it now and not even in full. So my apologies, Mrs. Valentine. But nonetheless, I grasped something out of it, and one of something I grasped out of the message is the urgency for us to reclaim our country, and we could not have said it any better. There is an urgency to reclaim Dominica. It is critical. Dominica has gone to the dogs. I really don't know how to describe it, but we are in trouble in this country. Real trouble. We have become a full-fledged dictatorship under this ruling Labour Party administration led by Roosevelt Skerrit. There's no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And we need to reclaim our land. We need to do whatever we have to do to ensure that Dominica get back to the glory days when people were living in peace and harmony, and to get rid of all of that hatred and division that's taking place in the country at this time. Mr. Valentine also spoke about the abusive conduct by Joseph Isaac in the House. I mean, there are not words to describe Joseph Isaac's conduct in Parliament. Honestly, there are not words to describe it. Particularly the way he dealt with Sean Douglas. Just despicable, to say the least. We all heard it, or most of us heard it, so there's no need to rehash and to go into what he said and all of that. But one thing I'm happy that he said is that the selling of passports is illegal. I laugh to know the selling of passports is illegal, so therefore he doesn't want Sean Douglas to repeat that in the House. But the fact is, we are selling passports. And the question I want to ask the Speaker of the House through this medium, we have some 46,000 persons with our passports in the hands for over the last 7 years. When we give them these passports, when the authorities give them these passports, I want to know, what did they get in return for the passport? Was it love? Was it a smile? What did they get in return? And the answer is money. You give passports and you got money in exchange. So it's an exchange for passport for money. All right. So therefore, we are selling our citizenship. There's no if and but about it. Nuka van passport, no. Okay. We are selling it. And Joseph Isaac, you can jump high, jump low. And the man is so fresh. And he said, I want Dominica to remove that thing from the mind that we are selling passport. Joseph Isaac, who you think you are, nigga? Who you think you are? You can say you just wanted to be represented in parliament, but you say you want Dominica to have that concept that you're selling passport. That's what you guys are doing. Selling passports. Billions of dollars in the sale of passports. That's what the record shows. It's supposed to be CBI citizens by investment. That's what it's supposed to be. Where a man comes on here, he invests $2 million, $5 million, opens a factory or something where he can create employment. So that was the initial purpose of the program. But it has since lost its way. Under you guys, it has since lost its way. Because that is why we actually had the Dayo Hotel investment. It's supposed to be an investment. You spend $2 million, $1 million, whatever it is, you open a factory, you open a canning industry, whatever it is, and you create jobs. And you'll get the passport in due course, not right away. It'll be 5 years, whatever time frame, and you'll get the passport. So Isaac, behave yourself. Mrs. Valentine also said, unless the Lord build the house of parliament, the builders labor in vain. Of course, that statement is very correct. Anything without the Lord, anything without God in it is going to fail. So this parliament that we have right now is really a mock parliament. There's no truth in there, there's no honesty in there, there's a lot of abuse and all of that in the parliament by this Labour Party administration. And you know what hurts me even more? I mean, you don't even have a strong opposition like when fellas like Lennox and Danny and Sparks and these guys were in parliament, giving them trouble or having like strong arguments and so on. What we have right now in parliament, the opposition is not as strong as when we had guys like Lennox. And they still doesn't want to allow the guys to make the contributions. They keep stopping them, interruptions all along. And they're very petty. I heard the guy from Marigot giving his contribution in Paris, and the man was so eloquent. Facts, no mépris, going nicely. One of the senators on the Western side asked for an extra 10 minutes. And to hear big grown macho men in parliament. And Isaac, when the senator asked for the 10 minutes more for Paris, there was quiet silence in parliament. They was in favor, and nobody said no. So, in other words, it actually carried. And Isaac actually repeated, you all didn't hear what I said. It was in favor, and that is when the fools on the other side thought, no, no. I mean, come on, man. A man is having a debate on the national budget, something of interest to them, to the country. He's asking for 10 more minutes. And you have ministers of government saying no. These guys are really petty. Anyway, that's the next discussion. But Mrs. Vidal, good message, very good message, and we have to move on. So let me have watch this a few words before we continue.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you said, I had that actually, you said very powerful, and I myself have that as, very powerful and very relevant to the issues of the day. I must say, I was very impressed with this message from Miss Vidal Valentine, and I have been there listening to her messages, but this message to me very much impressed me, and to me, it somehow it seemed to be, if I had to mark it, I would mark it higher than maybe most of the messages that I have heard from Miss Valentine. So that is to the extent that I felt that this message was very powerful and relevant to the issues of the day. And I wish to commend Miss Valentine on such a fantastic message. While saying that, I thought of our brother Zah, our our spiritual reverend, if I may refer to him as that, and maybe Brother Zah, or if I could refer to him as Reverend Zah, and maybe even persons like maybe Pastor Rodney, they would they would probably have a more contextual response to that kind of message, because I'm not in their shoes. I'm not so much of that biblical guy, but it's a very powerful message. I suppose if Brother Zai is here, so or Brother Rodney, they may want to call and give their own views on that message. But I think it sticks to the to very important points of issues: righteous governance, revolution for change and development, intercession for success with God on our side. It looks at his leadership, and asking us to fear the Lord, to serve Him in sincerity and truth. And she's asking all of us to repossess thee. I think these are powerful trends, powerful um, messages in terms of all what is happening in DA today. And of course, she refers to the House of Assembly, which gave her shockwaves, and she referred to the abusive conduct in the parliament. And we would want to have a program and not be dealing with this myopic affairs, so to speak. But it's real. It's real. And while I don't want to go into detail, but I must say the action of the speaker in regard to what took place to me is deplorable. Very deplorable. I personally believe that the action of the speaker is amountable to bring the house, the parliament, into disrepute. And a lot have been said about the degrees of the speaker, and that he may have more degrees than a thermometer. But with all these degrees, and to hear the speaker, to me, he's a disgrace to academia. He's a disgrace to academia. And he need to look at himself. He's very arrogant. He's very irresponsive to what is going on around him. And his arrogance is putting him at a stage where he believes he's the all and the end all. And he was once my friend. I even spent a little money in his quest to become a representative of the UWP. But he has really disappointed me, and it would appear to me his interest is more about money making than about the business and the interests of the electorate. So this speaker, he has a lot to rise above, and I would wish in a short time he could recognize that he's on the wrong path and make a turn for the difference. So that is what I would have to say on that particular issue. So here we are. She's saying in the message that God is the word of the Lord. And this is where we need to put our emphasis and to resurrect as a people and to do what is necessary for change and development in Dominica.
All right, thank you very much for the watch. It's now 6:46. Wow, time flies so quickly. All right, we are supposed to lock in with Zed Lloyd. Okay, link up with Zed Lloyd about the 7 o'clock hour. So let's go quickly to the opinion page. We may have to probably blinking Zed about 7:10. So let's have the opinion page, have a short discussion on it, And we also have an audio to play by our sister Marceline Edwards before we can call our brothers in. So let's do that quickly so we can have time to have a discussion on the opinion piece. Okay, so please take a listen at this time.
Government leadership forced on Dominica, our country's patrimony anchored in greed and personal wealth, part one. Is there an ounce of patriotism left in the residents of Grand Bay? Should there be a Big Ben at Tetlale, Grand Bay, to start counting the days until 6 January 2024, marking the 20th anniversary of the death of Pierre Charles? That fateful day, 6 January 2004, coincides with the cold data that displaced Osmond Brother Olivier, and then the deputy leader of the Dominican Labour Party, and resulted in the ascendancy of Roosevelt Medard Skerrit as the man in charge. The inauguration of the new prime minister was held behind closed doors, clearly indicating the intention to do away with the rule of law and transparency and to replace it with subterfuge and tyranny. Upon the emergence of a wannabe dictator, the alarm bells reverberated throughout Dominica, especially when Roosevelt publicly announced that no law, no constitution would prevent him, Roosevelt Skerrit, from doing whatever he wants. We failed as a nation to forcefully rebuff Roosevelt's arrogance. And since then, he has defied the Constitution of Dominica on numerous occasions with impunity. It is widely believed that he uses resources of the state for purely partisan business, the purely partisan business of his Labour Party. Supposedly independent commissions are staffed with loyalists who carry out his agenda rather than that of the state, in exchange for the privilege of engaging in the sale of Dominica's sovereignty, its passports. This trade in passports has become so lucrative that the agents have been motivated to maximize their profitability by overlooking and overriding the due diligence requirements, thereby enabling bad hombre, mauvais boug, carrying Dominica's passports to penetrate the international security architecture. And we are suffering for it. UK authorities and others in the international community have issued numerous diplomatic advisories regarding the threat of terrorists entering the UK and Europe using Dominica's passports. Yet Roosevelt has remained steadfast in his agenda to make passport selling the most profitable industry for him. Meanwhile, one of the more discerning and patriotic Caribbean leaders, Ralph Gonsalves, recently described the passport selling business as literally prostituting the country's sovereignty. But in Dominica, the trade in our sovereignty has continued unabated and without the requisite due diligence, despite Roosevelt's claim to the contrary. It is now official. Effective 19th July 2023, the United Kingdom has imposed sanctions on Dominica. Thanks to the Starboy, Dominicans have been stripped of the privilege of visa-free entry into the United Kingdom. According to the UK's Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, quote, careful consideration of Dominica's operation of a citizenship by investment scheme has shown clear and evident abuse of the scheme, including granting citizenship to individuals known to pose a risk to the UK, to the United Kingdom. When the news broke on the electronic and UK print media, Roosevelt was literally dragged out of his shell to make a weak statement. He referred to a robust system of due diligence that currently exists, the same robust system that did not uncover the crimes committed by at least 9 diplomats who carried Dominica's passports while serving in international positions for Roosevelt. He admitted that the decision of the British government is unfortunate, that it hurts. Well, who caused us to be hurt, Starboy? Who caused us to be hurt? No doubt, These sanctions will have devastating impact on Dominica's reputation and painfully affect average citizens who are only interested in visiting the United Kingdom for education purposes, medical attention, sporting or entertainment activities, or for a vacation with their relatives. Already, there is credible public information to suggest that a large group of Iranians and Russians are outraged by being tricked by Dominica's passport sales advertisement and its offer or promise of visa-free entry into the United Kingdom and Europe. These Iranians are reportedly currently seeking intervention through local lawyers to recover the down payments they made to Dominica's passport entrepreneurs. Now that the UK authorities and Europe have declared that the Dominica's passport is of questionable integrity. In his delusional mind, Roosevelt perceived that the visa-free entry by the Western countries that was traditionally offered as a courtesy to Dominica's resident citizens, was a clever marketing ploy to suck money from the absentee citizens. He was able to brainwash and indoctrinate some citizens, and of course, his entire cabinet underlings, even President Charles Savarin, into believing that the self-serving proclamation, if not sale of passports, CBI, then what, was carved in stone and adorned in gold. Dominica is no doubt headed for devastating collapse and an existential crisis created by the ruthless hands of Roosevelt and his cabinet of coward, self-serving conspirators. We the people agree with the language used by international media describing the 20 years of a self-serving government anchored in greed and the sale of the country's sovereignty as an international disgrace. We the people again raise the question, shouldn't this bunch of conspirators resign with immediate effect? Shouldn't we the people stop wasting time reviewing reactionary statements, lies, and empty budget addresses and take meaningful collective action to reverse the risk that their actions pose on our national security architecture? Isn't collective action to eradicate this abomination required now?
Wow. Well. These guys are getting more powerful by the day. Guys, let me thank you all immensely for another powerful message. And of course, there are not words to express how much we appreciate the hard work done by both the scribe and the narrator. And personally, I don't believe I would be able to present a message at that level every week. Because it costs for a lot of time. You have to do your research. You have to have the right choice of words, the find of good words, and all of that, and just connect everything together. It calls for a lot, and you have to have the ability to do that. So, thank you guys very much for the message, and I know people out there are really appreciating it every week. All right, folks. Before I even comment on the opinion page, I want to just play an audio by Maslin Edwards. It's a few minutes long, and we'll have a discussion on both of these audios. But before I do that, also let me extend my condolences to the family members and friends of Robertson Joseph of Point Michelle, who passed away just a couple of days ago. I think it's just about 63. Still not a middle-aged man, not a young guy, but could have still gone a few more years. And he died suddenly, more or less. And we also have Muriel Dover of Point Michelle. So to the family members of Muriel as well, Annette and others, Shirley, Son, and Masley, and all of you guys, let me just express my condolences on my behalf and also that of CCM. All right. All right, folks. So let me just play Marceline Edwards' audio before we go into any further discussion at this time.
It is with a very heavy heart I pen this personal and open letter to you, not with expectations that it will reach or touch any part of your physical or emotional being, since you have openly demonstrated that you are operating as something devoid of conscience, empathy, compassion, and love for the Dominican people who once trusted you as a doctor, friend, and good citizen whom they believed in and with whom they were well pleased. Today, the adage, time changes and so do men, which is true to the disgrace you have become, stands out in the character that has empowered you, a depleted and deplorable person, whom has lost every ounce of truth and integrity since integrating into the most corrupt, dangerous, and evil regime in the Caribbean region, to stand in the Parliament of Dominicans and to state with a straight face that Dominica has one of the best healthcare systems as that of any developing country. If so, why are our unborn and newborn babies, our young adults in the income producing years, the elderly in the twilight years, Dominicans on a whole, just dying at the China Headstart Hospital, better known as the Princess Margaret Hospital? Why, Dr. McIntyre, for the simplest of reasons, Dominicans have to medevac to other countries, let alone serious emergencies, lest they die in Dominica? And why did you have to seek medical attention for yourself outside of Dominica, as well as for your ailing wife who has since passed? May her soul rest in peace from you and the disgrace you have become, because it is heartbreaking for any woman to see their husband morphed into a big, unrecognizable lie like what you have become. Your statement of best healthcare speaks volumes to your acceptance of the malpractice, the lack of care and empathy for patients who are neglected, disrespected, and murdered by nurses and doctors who do not manage and give patients in their care the priority of proper care and treatment at the hospital that is now managed and run like a goat pen with the limited functioning equipments and most needed materials, the lack of most needed materials to treat patients, and 18th century medication that's not used anywhere else in the region when medicine has evolved based on new research and new medicine. Your statement is an endorsement of the genocide of indigenous Dominicans through lack of proper care in the poor healthcare system created by the government of Dominica that you are part of, Dr. McIntyre, that has plundered the resources of our country and intentionally destroyed the healthcare system so that the government becomes the only deciding factor for who lives and dies in Dominica. How can we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world when patients needing dialysis have to be left to the discretion of a committee that decides which patients need it most based upon age and comorbidities? Dr. McIntyre, how can we have the best healthcare system in Dominica when there is no automatic inquiry in the number of deaths at the Dominica Chinese Friendship Hospital, and no inquiry to hold the criminally wired so-called professional medical persons accountable? Why is it no one is held accountable for the genocide of the alien Dominicans who enter the hospital and mysteriously die? I guess that would be an indictment of your uncaring, greedy, and corrupt government and yourself that seek medical attention anywhere else except in the good healthcare system your government boasts about that they have created only for poor Dominicans, because you all don't go there when you all are sick, right? the good old book, the Bible says, trust no man. Dr. McIntyre, you are one of the dishonest and untrustworthy men added to the list of deplorables that no one should trust. No one should trust you because you have abandoned your oath as a medical doctor. No patient should visit your office and trust what you tell them. No one, because you are a pathological liar. I stand alone by my name, Maslin Edwards.
All right, Miss Edwards, thank you. Thank you very much. I suppose the message was clear enough. And when open the lines and the people are going to call and have many comments on your message. But your message was clear, straightforward, to the point. And of course, what you have said is very true. I mean, it is very disgraceful to see a doctor like McIntyre stand in Parliament and make that foolish statement that we're one of the best healthcare systems in Dominica. We have one of the best healthcare systems in Dominica. I mean, that's very dishonest, to say the least. All right, folks, but we have to move on already. It's 3 minutes past 7 o'clock. Wow, time moves on so quickly. We're able to call our brother, but let me just make a few quick comments on the opinion page before we call. Yeah, so we call it about 7:15 there, about 7:20. Yeah. All right. So the scribe started his message by he started up by saying 20 years of self-serving government or leadership slash leadership forced on Dominica, anchored with conversion of country's patrimony into personal wealth. And I want to say to you, people of Dominica, that this is a very good message. And not just good, but it is also factual. We have seen that over and over again. Okay, we have seen it that it is a what we have in Dominica is a self-serving government, nothing more, nothing less. I've said it before, and described is now echoing our sentiments that it is all about themselves. It is all about themselves. Let's just look at a number of examples of this Roosevelt spirit self-serving government. I had to put this whole thing in perspective. We have the frequency, okay, the number of meetings held in Parliament is an indication of a self-serving government. They only go to Parliament when laws to be passed are either beneficial to them or laws to cover their tracks. So how many times would you go to Parliament? 3 times for the year, twice, 3 times, at most, 4 times, at most. And I doubt it. I doubt it. Probably more like 3 times. But whenever they go there, take note of the laws that they're passing. Either to cover the tracks because in the international world are on the backs. So that's what they quickly and pass laws to cover the tracks. That's what they do. Self-serving. They went to parliaments, for example, and reduced the number of members on the IPO from 7 to 3. The Integrity in Public Office Act, from 7 to 3. Okay. Now we had a very nice IPO going with 7 members. You had a member from I think the Business Forum, the church, the Bar Association, and so on. Two from opposition and two from government. Well balanced IPO. They put it down to 3. A scary IPO, 2 to 1. Then we had the attempt to go to Parliament to make bribery and treating legal. So you understand again, self-serving. That is for them to remain in power forever. We had the attempt for them to pass legislation to register or reconfirm Dominicans living abroad to remain on the voters list. Again, self-serving. Prostituting the country's sovereignty, in the words of Ralph Gonzalez, by selling our passports in order to enrich a few, is another example of self-serving. We had the introduction of the Red Clinic and spending millions of dollars in every election cycle My brother, what again is that? It is self-serving. This is for them to ensure that they remain in power. Okay. We also had the deliberate decision to frustrate the efforts for the electoral reform of for many years by dismantling the electoral commission and not providing funding for the necessary reforms. Isn't that self-serving? Now, because of the government's selfish attitude, we are now at the crossroads. We are now on the international blacklist, so to speak. The citizens of Dominica are starting to feel the pinch. And as we know, the UK has brought down the axe on us visa requirements. They're asking for visa requirements. What that means? More expenses on us now. Because we have to travel to Barbados to obtain the visa. I understood they come to Fort Young from time to time, but is that convenient to us? You want to travel to the UK next week. The people who won't be at Fort Young next week. They'll be there probably in September. You understand what I mean? So it is the inconvenience, the extra expense to get the visa, the whole fact that we have to be interviewed and you have no guarantee that you're going to get a visa. That is what this government has put on our backs because of their selfishness. Selling passports, yes, Isaac, selling passports. That is what has brought us where we are today. And as the scribe said, the sanctions by the UK will have devastating impact on Dominica's reputation and affect the image of average citizens who are interested in visiting the UK for education, medical attention, sporting or entertainment activities, or vacation with their relatives. It's going to affect us negatively. Okay? The ramifications of Skerritt's passport selling industry are more explosive than the inconvenience that the residents of Dominica are subjected to in having to submit a visa application form. That's what the scribe is saying to us, and we endorse it 100%. Because you see, Dominicans never had to get a visa before to travel to the UK. So when these guys, be it on Kyrie FM or be it in Parliament or wherever it is said, try to trivialize the fact that we have to now obtain a visa, it is very sad. Because we were free to pack our bags, pay for our tickets, and head to the UK with none of this hassle. Hassle free. Now we have to apply for a visa, and they're trying to trivialize that and say that is nothing. We have to apply for a visa for the States as well. What nonsense is that? We never had to for the UK, but now we have to. Not just the hustle, but the extra expense that goes with it. Dominicans, all of that is because of these greedy and selfish people in the governance of our country. Dominicans have to face the extra cost, the inconvenience, the scrutiny before getting the green light to travel to the UK. All of that. The issue here, my brothers and sisters, is the lack of due diligence. As I've said before, I am convinced that the only due diligence that is done by this administration is how much money can these criminals wanted by the authorities in the country can pay for the passport. That is perhaps the only due diligence that these guys do. How much money can we get for the passport? 1 million, half a million, $250,000? That's the only concern. Nothing to do about the people character and so on. How much money they have, how wealthy are these people. So as long as the price is right, we're good to go. They get $2 million for a passport, they declare $50,000 to the treasury. The balance of the funds are kept outside the treasury to be used as they wish, and more so by a foreigner. Patriots, we have spoken enough. And when I say we, I am referring to all the civic groups and the political parties. We have written several letters, held public meetings, rallies, radio programs, consultations, just to name a few. We need to go beyond that. We need to go beyond that. Our country needs to be liberated. Everyone needs to get on board to save our nature idol. And I will end the very same way that I described ended. Collective action is what is required now. My brother, it's your turn to say a few words.
Yeah, well, I will try to be brief. I think you have hit the nail on the head. But I would say another very thought-provoking and relevant message from the scribe and Aronel. And, he started off by mentioning, referring to those in power in reference to greed and personal wealth. And it's sad for our country, when I look at politics, I usually believe that people in politics should be people who go there with something to contribute and to have the interests of the citizenry and the nation at heart. But this doesn't seem to be the case. It would appear to me that most people in the ruling party, many of them have not even built a base for themselves. Some of them have not even ventured into fundamental things like maybe building their own home and that. They see politics as a way to acquire wealth. And that is unfortunate, I must say. My reflection of many of the past politicians were people who were seasoned in their various ways and means and would be in politics to make a contribution based on their experience. But this is not the case now. People go into politics now, they see politics as a way to acquire wealth. And sometimes I ask myself, for instance, you go into politics. Politics, you should be there for maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you haven't built a home for yourself before you go into politics, you cannot use politics to go and take a loan for 20, 30, 40 years as a mortgage to build a house on politics. So really, I cannot see why people have to use going into politics as a means for them to acquire wealth. You should go there to make a contribution to the state and citizenry based on your experience and your need to see your country moving. But that is not the case. And herein lies the problem. The no law, no constitution doctrine as enunciated by the Prime Minister, this seemed to me to be the main drive. This is where our politics is driven by. And a lot of rights and what we know as doing things morally and ethically, this seems to be out of the window as far as politics in Dominica is concerned. And then we come to the passports and the sanctions. I said last week, once you as a country, Ralph Gonsalves recognized that. Ralph Gonsalves recognized that. As long as you're a country and you decide to move into the CBI arrangement, there are a lot of risks associated with that. You may do your best, but the people who are there trying to get a passport out there and so on, these people are of all different types of backgrounds. and some of them, based on the countries where we are zeroing on attracting them, they have terrorist background. These people are into money laundering and those associated activities. And to the extent that they have not applied the due diligence that is necessary, we find ourselves being associated with a lot of diplomats, with associated with all kind of crimes, having our passports. This is a disgrace to our country. And it's not just a disgrace in terms of to the extent that it affects us internally, but it is a disadvantage to the international security of states. The international security architecture of states, especially in the Western world, in Europe, in England, in the US of A, in Canada. And this is why we have this situation arising now with all those sanctions being placed on us in the UK and in the European Union. So, Describe and Arundel, they are on point. This government, on the basis of these scenarios, should tender their resignation. They should resign. They have lost the pedigree or the to serve the Dominican public. They have shoot themselves in their own goal, and they should go. They should go. And this is why Describe and Arundel is right, that we need collective action now to ensure that our rights as a citizen and our democracy as a citizen are preserved. And I agree with Arundel. And if I may just move from Arundel, I mean just briefly on what Ms. Edwards submitted with regards to our healthcare system. I don't know why somebody should come out and boast that we have the best welfare system, if it's in the OECS or wherever, when it is a proven fact that we are lacking in several areas of our healthcare system. We have facilities being built, like for instance in Marigot, and for 2 years cannot open.
That's correct.
So what is there to boast of the wealth of the healthcare system? Dominica used to pride itself on a primary healthcare system. I know when the Dominica Freedom Party was in power, a lot of emphasis was placed on the primary healthcare system. There were primary health communities, committees all over the island. People were taking not just the public infrastructure, but people were organizing themselves in committees to learn about all the different aspects of the healthcare system and how they could participate in the healthcare system at a community level to reduce the cost of health in terms of the national budget. I think this is what catapulted Dr. Clarissa Etienne to be where she is now as PAHO, because she was one of those who headed the primary healthcare system at that point in time. But where are we now with primary healthcare? You are not hearing about no committee nowhere to do with primary healthcare. The system is dysfunctional. And if I have to refer to just I mean, in Rivière Syriac, Grand Fond, Monjon, very lacking. We have a healthcare facility which is not manned. It's not manned. And I thought it was just Rivière Syriac. But I was told by a citizen from Grand Fond that it is the same system existing in Grand Fond. No doctors available. Minor problems, you have to go to La Plaine. And when you go to La Plaine, you're not even sure that you will receive the necessary service that you are looking for. So, as far as I'm concerned in the healthcare system, while we may see maybe some new infrastructure in terms of healthcare buildings and hospitals,
centers.
yeah, but what is in there? Where is the human resource to man the healthcare system? Where are the
Equipments.
yeah, no. Where is the supplies? Where is the paracetamol? Where is the? I mean, I was. You mean I heard somebody had to go to buy tetanus injection in a healthcare.
Bandage.
So what is the best of that healthcare system in comparison to the OECS or the wider Caribbean? So these are my comments. I just want to rest that here, and I am sure as the questions and comments come, we will respond to that.
Thank you very much, my brother. I know you have a lot more to say, I too, but we have to link up with Ed Lloyd so we have a little discussion with him. I know you want to weigh in on some of the things that we have said and some of the stuff that he too would that he has in mind. So we're going to look him up in the next couple of minutes. But let me just take a little musical break and allow a few callers before we link up with Brother Zed.
Yeah, man.
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Hi, good evening.
To you.
Yes, Blanchard.
Mhm. Healthcare.
And I did not know Watchman was there. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah,
good evening.
And the thing is that, as you said about Carissa Etienne, this lady was partly heading the healthcare, that healthcare we had.
Primary healthcare system.
Yes, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, she's coming to Dominica, not even talking. You should come as though it's a secret and go as a secret, because I don't know if she's so ashamed, because once I knew she was there, I said something on the air concerning her in order of the primary health care. Nothing the following day, I understood she left, whatever. But it's a shame to see the primary health care we had in the Princess Margaret Hospital. Now we have nothing close to that in the dangerous healthcare hospital.
I know. So sad.
I just can't understand that.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, did you hear the minister? Who is the minister of health?
What's him again?
I think they call him Kasani Laville.
Laville.
Is that? I think that's the name.
I did not hear nothing from him in the parliament concerning health. What happened? He was there saying things on people and castigating people and telling people other things. We forget his mission was health.
Well, I understand his background is engineering, so probably he's on the wrong book.
Maybe that's why.
That's something else.
And let me thank Maslin. Good message, Maslin. That's one time I support you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, and that's the problem, you know, it's great to have these guys not operating within the field. How can they have an engineer?
Square pegs in round holes.
Minister of Health. You have a minister, a doctor as finance minister. I mean, come on, man. I mean, how, at the time when the economy is so low and we're trying to build up the economy, you have fellas not operating within the expertise. Let me break, man. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Hey, good. How you doing? How you doing?
We're doing good, man. We're nice.
Yeah. You know, it's illegal to say we're selling passports. You can get arrested for doing that.
Be careful there, sir. You can photo l'argent, hein?
Maybe in parliament, but not in the public, not on radio.
You know, Joseph Isaac has made a new law. He has made a new law. So now, I am declaring tonight that Joseph Isaac has won the competition for the Star Boy of Stupidity. He has beaten Skerrit. He has beaten Skerrit by 10 points. So now, you have Joseph Isaac is number 1 and Skerrit is in second place.
Thank you, caller.
Gentlemen, it's a sad situation in Dominica right now. Where we have the state Dominica has reached right now. It's very, very, very
real
sad.
Comedian, man.
Now,
Comedian thing, man.
You're talking about almost $10 billion in passport sales, and we have nothing to account for in Dominica. We have nothing to account for. And Dominicans go about their business as usual, just walking around, and they're giving us a little CO now and then. You know, they sponsor a little CO now and then for Dominicans, and Dominicans think, man, that's cool, that's okay. You know, and it's when you put VNX to run a country, what do you expect to get out of it? Anyway, gentlemen, have a good night.
Yeah, thank you very much, caller. Thanks for your contribution. Well said, well said.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, man. All right.
2016.
What I said, if you are listening, we're about to link you up. So please take the call.
I always wanted to become somebody important in my country. When it came, I got my opportunity, but wasted the chasing after money. No, my own people presenting me my daily troubles overburden me. I'm in too deep, but I can't quit. Yet my biggest blunder, from which I can recover, was my trip to Malaysia. And the internet scandal that was fun there. Oh.
What I said, are you on?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yes, I'm in clearly. Loud and clear. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, greetings, brother.
Yeah,
Welcome, Brother Zed.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Well, but I said, we have so many building issues. We don't know where to start. I mean, I'm not too sure what we want to touch on. I mean, we have that UK issue with visa requirement. We have the selling of passports, and the list goes on and on and on. So I'm not too sure where you want to start, or if you have your own thing in mind. Feel free.
I think I can tie them. I think they're all tied.
Right.
They're all tied to a common issue. Yesterday I spent, the most part of the day trying to get contact with some finance officials at Grambling State University.
Right.
I wanted to verify whether a story that was online was authentic and had the university's signature on there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I called and got through the finance and the different layers to the vice president's office, and turned out the situation is true. The situation was true because the university had gotten so tired of trying to communicate with the officials in Dominica that they literally gave up.
Wow.
They literally gave up. And so it got so horrendous that it didn't make sense they trying to deal with Dominica anymore. And so they just left it in the hands of the students. If you guys want to come here, your government has to pay that bill. And, that deal with your government. Like, they can't take responsibility for Dominican students at Grambling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that serious.
And then we are looking at what in terms of the quantum.
It's like $8 million.
$8 million.
Yeah,
wow.
But the fact is, the students can't go back on campus. They can't register. They can't do anything with the university until that bill gets taken care of. That's it. They don't want no more promises from the government, no more phone calls that cannot be. But I say this to say that if you notice, John, all those things that we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
there's a common pattern to all of them,
Yeah.
where there is an absence of connection to the situation, and no matter how long people try, it keeps getting worse without being attended to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's only when it is too worse, if I can use that,
Yeah.
worse, that the response comes. Always after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the raw thing after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The serious thing after the fact.
So they are reactive.
The passport thing after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an after a fact because the place is not being run like a government.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the place was being run like a government. You know what would happen? You would have had a PS like, say, a K corridor. You know what I mean? There's
Yes.
people with, no, a K corridor would never be the PS of education and for that kind of thing to happen.
That's correct.
Because a K corridor would make sure that there is money in the budget for the amount of scholarships you give in.
That's right.
And the amount of scholarships you have to pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In a real government, the scholarship will be related to the budget.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have a real government. We have a prime minister who gives scholarship willy-nilly on his choices, not catering for the budgetary aspect of the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So because you don't have a flowing system, you have no cabinet meeting, you have no construct of the PS. It's not that they don't want to answer this phone call for the people. They themselves tired of getting turned over in trying to address the issue because they have no control over it. They have no real power because it's not done constitutionally.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So all these things are happening because we have government that is not run by the people in government. Everything still comes back to one individual.
Right.
And so until that one individual addresses the issue doesn't get solved.
Well, that's a question. I mean, I get your point, but don't you think the people at the ministry, the public workers, like the PS and so on, that is responsible for actually running the ministries, don't you think that they too are weak and that they should stand the ground?
But John,
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing is, here's the thing, you know. The thing is, if you have a system where the monetary structure is not organized around how it's supposed to flow in the constitution,
Mm-hmm.
these people to a certain extent, they're not really empowered because the institution behind them is not empowered.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope we have to understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it comes back all the way down to the people because it's varying institutions that have to be empowered. And if the initial institutions are disempowered, the last empowerment part of the system are the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Zed, while you're on that, Zed, just to have a conversation on that and to echo the point that Blanchard made.
Yeah.
I mean, this scenario brings into question to my mind the whole public administration and management of the ministries. And it ties in with the budget as well. Because you see, if you go for a proper budgeting approach and you understand what your commitments are, you will ensure that adequate allocations are allocated to meet that particular expense. And you would expect that during the course of the financial year, that there would be no problem. You would expect the Ministry of Finance would have the funds available and that the line ministry would be able to allocate and expend that money in relation to the students.
Ministries, yeah.
But it doesn't seem that is operative in terms of a logical framework.
Let me give you an example.
And let me just make one point before you come in, because I listened to the Prime Minister responding to some comment that was made in the debate, budget debate. And when a particular member of parliament said he did not see something in the budget, the Prime Minister stood up and he said, well, you know, that is why we have supplementary estimates and things will be taken care of in the supplementary estimates. But you cannot be here at the beginning of a year knowing what you're supposed to allocate funds for and talking for supplement down the line. The Prime Minister does seem to understand the fundamentals of government finance. And maybe no doubt, after he has served as the Minister of Finance for many years, and he realized he's a complete failure, he had to give it up. And he's still here in 2023, yesterday or day before yesterday, making such a man, I don't even know the word.
Don't use the word.
I want to use a word, but I wouldn't use it.
It's not radio friendly.
You understand what I mean? And that is the problem, and herein lies the problem with making the necessary allocations to Gramlin and Western, wherever, and all those areas that they have to make allocations to. Right. You cannot put that in a supplementary estimate.
Let Blanchard come in. Blanchard, come in.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Check this out. You realize how many of these ministries had extra cash still held up in not being used?
Unspent, that's true. Yeah.
I just want to show how deep this thing is. Imagine allocated cash, right? The way the thing is organized, it's so much is Roosevelt scary that them people, they although the money allocated, the way the money is run, they don't really have the money. They don't have that how the Constitution empowers them to act, how the PS, the ministry, how it empowers them. They're not operating that kind of sense of empowerment in that government.
That is true.
You understand?
Yeah, well, we are not convinced they don't have the money. The basic fact about it is that the money is not in the consolidated fund, is elsewhere.
It is Roosevelt scary that controls.
Control is scary. That's the problem.
Scary.
Yeah.
You see, when you say about him moving out of the finance, Roosevelt scary never moves out of the
exactly.
finance.
He's still there.
McIntyre is there so that Roosevelt scary can control the finance. That is why McIntyre is the Minister of Finance, not because McIntyre handles finance. It's Roosevelt scary that handling finance.
And that's that no one will say is he, because McIntyre is the Minister of Finance.
Yeah, but it don't have that. Same thing with that MMC thing. That MMC thing is an arrangement by Roosevelt Skerrit for Roosevelt Skerrit advantage. It is not for Dominica's advantage. That money is being used as a bank before Dominica gets it back. The simple as that.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. Dominica end up in problems because of MMC and Roosevelt Skerrit arrangement, and the kind of madness them man do in the Middle East and just throw a passport like just business. The man no care, no principle, no nothing. That is what happened to Dominica there, That MMC, Roosevelt Skerrit that messed up that program, brethren. Roosevelt Skerrit greed, that messed up that program, It's greed.
Yep.
Greed.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that the program going those kind of quarterly kind of standards and no standards whatsoever. Cheapest thing, $100,000. What is $100,000 to develop Dominica? You care about Dominica? $100,000. Man, come on, man. You know
that is why Ralph Gonzalez said they are prostituting the country.
$200 investment to become, and all kind of tax benefits, all kind of things.
Yep.
People work their whole life in Dominica, spend plenty more tax in Dominica, not getting half that kind of benefit from the government. You feel me? Yeah. The passport is too cheap, the conditions are too lax. The man shouldn't be getting no voting rights, no patriotic rights, whatever should be going to any economic citizen. We cannot allow these guys to come and imbalance our nation in terms of demographic control. Madness that.
Because imagine we have 46,000 citizens out there over the last 7 years. So it's much more than that, because we're talking about 7 years. I mean, just imagine that all of these guys can vote in our election. What is going to become of us? We'll never ever get a chance to elect a government of our choice,
Boy, and where the man trying to go in that electoral reform, that's where we're heading. That's why I tell the man them, and I hear it seem like it's said in a way, but we have to address the foreign issue in this conversation this time around.
Indeed.
It's important that we do. We cannot follow Roosevelt Skerrit thing about rush time. We have to get a comprehensive electoral reform package, friend. We have to address some fundamental things. People just coming out hating, just coming and voting Dominica. That is madness.
Yeah.
That is madness. Our laws in Dominica are too lax. They are against us.
Mm-hmm.
They are against us. They're not in our interest. This CBI program is not programmed in our interest. It's not advantageous to us. How you can come and get how much passport, hundreds of passports, one make how much millions of dollars, come and get 60 acres of land, whatever you get. Everything is still yours. You still can sell as time going on. All we getting is some little tax thing and our people working. That cannot work, John. That cannot develop
Yeah.
us. We as Dominicans
Mm-hmm.
moving forward in this passport thing, as long as you get our passport to do business, we have to get a percentage
You
of
have
that
to.
business for Dominica.
Yeah. Yeah. Ownership.
For Dominica.
Ownership. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ownership.
It's some new vibes you have to put
Yeah.
in that, but we can't let them fellas demand them running that disadvantageous to us.
Mm-hmm.
Disadvantageous to us.
You give a man passports to sell, he build a hotel, and the hotel belongs to him. I mean, what is really going on?
And I heard one today, before we lose off, I want to thank Lennox, and I know he tried to talk about the MNC thing and really bring it back to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want the patriots them to understand, man. You see that MNC relationship, if we have one iota of balls in the country as conscientious statesmen and stateswomen, we should really make an effort to fund an injunction against that MNC and Roosevelt-Scary agreement.
Mm-hmm.
We know, like, first, we can talk all the talk and all the talk and all the talk and all the talk we're talking about. But if we're serious as a nation, we're supposed to challenge that agreement.
We should.
I agree.
I agree.
To come on board. It's time for that kind of moment. It's just, you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to come collectively around that thing and really put that in the court and force the court to rule on that MMC Roosevelt-Scary agreement.
Yes, we
I
should.
think that is damn nonsense.
And then what is hurtful? What is even more hurtful? Eh? This guy's making all the billions of dollars, billions according to Lofty, with a B, and you come in at Parliament in the budget address and put in more pain on this little Malawi in Dominica, asking them to pay $20 for a birth certificate. Can you imagine that? I mean, how much money can that do for you in the budget? $15 more. Even if every single Dominican has to take a copy of the birth certificates, let's work out about 60,000 or so by $15 or $20. You're talking about just about $1 million.
John,
it's a drop.
Union move. Let me tell you, I see that when I look at the numbers, I calculated the numbers. Even the union move, John, is the way the government operates.
Mm-hmm.
The government is not in a respectful relationship with the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm trying to tell you what the pattern is. There is an inherent disrespect in this mannerism of governance that we have in Dominica. Inherent.
And then I'm happy that you said that, because even with that decision to tax the credit union so heavily, there has been no consultation whatsoever with management of the credit unions, with the board of directors and so on. Furthermore, to have with the members. None.
Always after the fact.
Yeah.
We have to make this government understand. I don't care whatever party you on, whatever side of the line you on, man.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make this government understand that it has to deal with its citizens in a more respectful relationship at the very least. At the very least.
Yep.
At the very least.
Yep.
Yes, Zed, I mean, I am with you totally, and I mean, the Dominican citizens, the ball is in their court right now. Dominican should be on a Dominica. We should be on a national strike. There should be a national strike, a 1 day of what we call it, where the citizens show their dissatisfaction with all these things that are happening in Dominica. Farmers, students, all the
private
various,
sector,
and so on. We need a serious national strike to make the government answerable to the people.
But how does it
because
happen?
They're taking us for a joke.
But how does it happen? How does it happen?
Did you guys listen to Sports Rap yesterday?
But of course, I listen to Sports Rap all the time.
You heard where the man brought up the idea of the botanical gardens.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a national issue.
How that part? Yeah.
So let me show you something. Just bear with me. So you see when Ozzy, yes, I cry listening to Ozzy. Ozzy grew up next door to me. But when Ozzy touched botanical gardens, it bring a tear to my eyes.
Yeah.
So right here now, look at that. Here is something that means so much to the hearts of good Dominicans. And we know losing it is the wrong thing. We know
Golf course. Yeah.
in the garden. So right there, if Ozzy can sit down in Dominica and Ozzy can just his hat, he put on and he talk about botanical garden. He doesn't sit down and plan to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
And it can make me weep. It can make me feel a vibe.
Yeah.
Imagine if Ozzy would decide, you know what, I'm going to make a public statement for my botanical garden and ask my Dominican citizens for us to take a stand. Not to play leader, nothing, just off the heart. If Steve-O can make that off his heart, if more citizens other than politicians can make that kind of public commitment towards the botanical gardens, we can save the botanical gardens. We can stop golf parks coming in botanical gardens.
Yeah.
So I say that to mean is forget about them and them and them. It's us. It's ourselves. It's ourselves. We keep waiting for the political solution. It's statesman solution we need now, brethren.
And Zed, I mean, something like that. I mean, we ain't talk about golf course at the gardens, right? And that talk is out there in the ear. By now, people should already start to make some noise or at least ask some questions to confirm whether or not that is factual.
Yeah, man,
get confirmation. Are you guys really going to build a golf course at the gardens? And if the answer is yes, then we start the protest.
Yeah, we have to stop that.
Anna, please, that was a plant protection at a plant protection area.
Joking, man.
I mean, I am a farmer. How many months now struggling to get 50 tree crops, plants, because the gardens is not operating. And those guys I'm hearing are transforming the gardens.
They'll destroy the gardens,
in a thing. I mean, man,
we lose the Windsor Park. We lose the Windsor Park.
Yes, you know.
What we gonna have, the brethren? What we gonna have? What we gonna have? All them building in roads are gone. Chinese buying them up local. What we going to have? Are you looking up around all you brethren?
They need to go to Point Wrong to golf course. Point Wrong has a lot of land. A lot of land down there. Point Wrong probably have what? Over 500 acres of land. A lot of land.
In the capital, we're not going to have anything. We're not going to have anything.
Yep, they're taking over, man. Taking over the place.
We're not going to have anything, brethren.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I said, boy, we have so many things, boy. So many things to deal with and to take care of.
You cannot do it, man. Think it individually sometimes. It's just a few soldiers. The group thing of their problem because man, it's always one man, John. And group since I little boy, it's always one man. It's so it runs. Focus more on the soldiers in the different groups. Let us work as soldiers, boy. Have a few soldiers. You know who they are.
Yeah.
They do. Focus on the soldiers, those few soldiers. Come together. Forget about all that. You have no naming, no nothing, bro. Just be soldiers.
Yeah.
Because struggle is a thing. If at least one person has to be willing to struggle for it to arrive at solution. At least one person, John. At least one person. Forget about them big young thing, man. Just organize the thing properly. Message there for the people. There's no reason for you, man, to be calling out yourself a CCM and for all you watch for the gardens to come and get lost. Or worth nothing.
We will deal with that at the appropriate time. We just get the necessary confirmation. And I think the people will deal with that. The people will deal with that.
But I said the gardens is next to my heart. I mean, look at that place, and to me, it is really the name suits it. It's really the Garden of Roseau. That is where you go and relax. Rather than spoiling it, build some more palm trees, build some more benches and so on. We can relax. Some more beautiful flowers and so on, some fruits and beautify the place. Let it be a true tourist attraction. Tourists are custom with golf course all over the world. That could attract tourists.
The only thing I want to see in the garden is I don't lie there. I think a leaf coming out from Mongoose coming down into the garden to be a nice story.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
this,
yes,
like
man.
yes.
Birds and so on, you
We
know.
don't want
Put some
that
more
can
parrots
I
in
mean,
place, and you
we
know.
can do it a golf course, but we can
Not
go and
there.
put that in Rosalie.
That's
We can go and put that
Point
in
wrong.
Point
Point
Wrong.
wrong.
Dominic have a lot of land that wasteful all in the north and so on, man. This can go there, not in the botanical gardens. But I see our phones are already lighting up, Zed, and we maybe need some time for a few calls. So while we appreciate your contribution, I am sure you will appreciate that we probably need to take some calls because we are coming to the end of the program. But there is some critical points noted, and as I said, we need a national strike. We need there is a terminology I'm looking for, but where the citizens have to come forward and make it known for all that they are not intended to stand up to all this nonsense and bullshit that is going on in Dominica.
But brother said before you leave, let me just also thank you for time off. Gone. Oh, sorry. We lost him. We lost brother said. Brother said, are you on? No, since I've lost him. All right. Okay, I think we have got brother said, but I think he's still listening, so let me just thank him for his great contribution this evening. And of course, he's always encouraging us. He's part of CCM right now. He's a member of CCM and part of our group chat and all of that. And a very positive guy, you know, and we appreciate him for that. All right, since our radio at 7:53, I'm going to take a few calls before we leave. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, go ahead now.
Ready for my PA system. I'm hearing too much things happening in Dominica, and we are the same place every day after day. We the same thing. We don't move in. I ready for my PA system.
You ready for your PA system? You ready to move?
My brother, we tired talk and we stay in the same place, and the day finish, the night finish, the week finish, the month finish, the year finish, and we the same place. My brother, let us move.
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
I need my PA system, please.
I feel the passion. I feel the passion.
Every day. To me, I can't take the talking no more.
Yeah.
Because every day the man doing another thing. Every day we get another story. Every day Dominica is different.
Yep. You're right.
But let us do what we have to do to take our country back.
We need some action. I agree with you.
I need my PA system, please.
All right.
Okay, we hear you loud and clear, brother.
Thank you, bro.
You don't know.
All right.
Okay.
We know. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Hey, Mr. Blanchard, blessing.
Hey, my partner, happening.
I call. Washburn, blessings to you.
Blessings.
Yeah.
Arundel and Sister Valentine's, thanks a lot. I always listen, even if I don't call at times. John, when you grow in white beard, you have to fight in the day alone, fight in the night for younger fellas like you.
Like me, eh? Because
it's many years there on the battlefield.
Yep,
so,
yeah.
Boys, you would have said something there listening, but you said something that due diligence is how criminal, how rich, or how desperate.
Oh yes, that's all. You have money.
Due diligence, how rich, how desperate, and how much.
Of course.
That's the due diligence.
That's it.
It's really true because it cannot be coincidental. It has to be rich people that in some kind of shady deal, and then they catch them, and guess what? They have a Dominica passport.
Of course, man. How can you have a list of almost 20 guys, the man?
My God.
Almost 20 guys that you give passports. Diplomatic passports, you know, at that. Like Addison, Amadou Quayle, Leroy Paris, we have that Roman Lanskin, a Russian guy. We have that Francisco Calor.
That
a
cannot
host
be
of them,
a host of them, plus what we don't know.
Exactly.
Anyway, gentlemen, keep the fight, keep the courage, because trust me, it's not for the faint-hearted. These criminals agree they are not coming out there without a fight. So according to the partner, the day passed, the week passed, the month passed, the year passed, and we're still there. Something drastic has to be done, and we might have right not well, but I'm ready.
Something has to give. Yeah, man. Thank you very much, bro.
Okay, bro.
All right. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Brother Blanchard.
To you, sir. Good evening.
Man, I glad I get you as it's time coming to close.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier tonight, earlier you asked me whether I changed location address,
Yes.
and I laughed. I did not respond,
Mm.
but I'm
Hello?
going now.
Mm-hmm.
When there's another registration, I will be registering in Wapton.
Okay.
So I want to call on Mr. McIntyre now
Mm-hmm.
to ask him to come clean and tell the people why he's not fixing the road for the people in Wapton.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. He might not be able to answer you why they fixed the road, but he may have to answer us why is that big hotel building built in the valley, okay, by a family member of his. So like we said earlier on, these guys are self-serving, so everything they do is for themselves, not for the public. Wicked set of fellas. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes, gentlemen. Good evening.
Yeah,
I'm
good
been
evening.
listening to the program all evening on Blanchard and you and Washi, and I just heard Z. Some things that I heard are very interesting, and some things that I heard we must redirect because everybody. Let me say it before I go into what I'm gonna say. It's too much of the blaming of spirit and not the people. This thing has been going on for the last 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And the people sat by and do nothing. The first time that sucker got caught stealing, that should have been a time when the people stood up. Now, the last thing you all talk about is the botanic garden. The botanic garden should be off limits to anybody else. And people must get radical and real radical. When I mean radical, some people talk about we're not a violent people, we're not this. I don't care. When it comes to fighting for freedom, there are some things that get out of hand and you cannot control it because your quest is freedom and whatever it takes, this is the road you take. Now, what I'm about to say is the blaming of spirit and always looking at what are they doing and who is doing what is not a way to go. The way to go is for all people like CCM, all the masses of people who are against all these criminal elements need to join forces and move forward with a resistance against the government with tooth and nail, my friend. You cannot play with a sucker like that because by the time the people wait to fight against the takeover of the garden, it's already done. You don't do that. It's now with the time you start. You don't wait until because my brother Blessing just left there. He always make reference to a book, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And this is one of the things that I'm going off with because I've heard a whole lot more that I'd like to speak on, but I want to make certain points that are more pertinent to the conversation. Now, I'm going to talk another time because you're almost out of time, but I'm listening. The people must take the blame themselves and stand and say, well, look, we are the ones to blame. We are the ones who let it happen. We're going to do something about it, and sooner than later. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, my brother. It's now 7:59, but I was please take 30 seconds and we're going to wind up. But before you do so, Wasby, let me also call on our listening public to make their financial contribution to the program. We are struggling, literally struggling to pay Q95 on a monthly basis. And so we want to ask you please to come into Q95 and drop a little 20 bucks, a little 10 bucks, whatever that you have. Also on MoneyGram and Western Union for those of you overseas. We also have a credit account at Central, Goodwill, and Portsmouth. The account number is 308-420. So you could just, if by chance you forget the number, just simply tell me you're making a deposit to the Constitutions Movement account at the credit union, okay? And they'll gladly accept it. So please support us so we can remain on air. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes,
very good program. Very good program. I am elated to hear both you and Brother Coffee giving the people the thing as is. In other words, not calling
no compromise.
Not saying that wrong is right.
That's
but right is right. I'm happy for that. And before I leave the Botanic Garden, the government must keep their hands off it.
Oh yes.
What they have to do is to make sure they reorganize it, plant back trees,
Beautify
and
it.
get the garden back.
Beautify
But there
it.
is no way that something we got into the 18th century, which was given to Dominicans, that we can go and put golf spots there.
And
No
destroy
way.
it, and
Put the
destroy
golf
it.
course at Point Wrong or
Point
some other
Wrong.
place.
Point Wrong is
Good
spot for
evening,
it,
gentlemen.
man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I
That sound like my boy from South City.
I suggest
it is,
Point Wrong.
Yes, yes,
It is.
yes.
Okay.
Grand Bay.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
They are not going to destroy our garden. They are not going to destroy the botanical garden. We will stand up. We will stand up. Yes, brother, watch me for a second and we're gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I first of all want to thank all our listeners out there who have tuned on to our program. And I saw some of them may have been trying to get in, but we have had a lot of presentations to make. So I want to thank them for their listenership and to ask them to continue to listen to our program and where they can, to echo your point, to continue to contribute to the program. But I would like to end by, three things. As I said, now is the time, a call for action. If you are nationalist, if you are Dominican, a true Dominican and hat, I think now is the time for action. As I said, with all the issues, especially all the issues pertaining to the passports and so on, now is the time, I believe, for a national strike to show the government that we are not with tune on the course of action for Dominica. Now is a time for citizen movement and resistance, and a time for civil disobedience, so that we can show the authorities that we are completely fed up with all the nonsense with their management and the development for Dominica. So that is where I think we are. And I want to echo that point very strongly. And I hope our citizens out there will take it very seriously. That is my closing comments for tonight.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Washby, for your closing comments. I will also be brief. Let me also thank all the listeners for their participation. Those of you who called in, and like I know for a fact that there are more persons out there listening than calling in, because I get those comments every day in tongue or by pass. They give me those good commendations, and so we want to thank you for that. Let me just tell you guys that we will be back here next week, Friday, same time, same place, and we do hope. But before I even close, I just want to ask a question, because some time ago, I believe the Prime Minister said, I didn't hear myself, but I understood that he said that all the persons from Wesley that they have taken their lands, the lands that were acquired for the airport construction, have been paid. But it's my understanding that there are still a number of individuals that have not gotten paid by the government of Dominica, and their lands have been taken away. Their houses have been taken away. So I'm throwing this question out there. Mr. PM, Mr. Minister of Finance, please tell us whether or not the person, lands, and houses that you have taken from them in the Wesley area has been paid for. We want to know that, because people and properties does not belong to you. You cannot acquire people's property, take their houses, take their land, and don't pay them, okay? You have to pay the people their money. So if you have not paid, let us know, because the people want the money. They want to continue their lives. So let us know whether or not that has been done, because it is my understanding that there are a number of persons still out there waiting to get paid for the land and the houses. All right, so on that note, I will say good evening. I hope you have a nice night, a pleasant evening, and a good weekend. God bless you all, and of course, we will be there for you again next week, God's willing. Good night, and God bless you.
I listen to you day after day. I listen to every word that you have to say. Yeah, yeah. You say that you want to build this land. and how you love every Dominican. Those are promises, mommy. So many like you have come and gone. Too many still singing this same song. So many taking me for a fool. Too many treating me like a mule. And your ignorant polarization causing untold destruction in this little island. Mommy, tell me the other time. Yabasak is like Gramoxone in wine. Promises, I can't pay my bill on promise. Promises, I can't go to shop on promise. Promises, I can't take the bus on promise. Promises, I can't pay school fee. You could promise me what you want. You could promise me anything that you want. I can't eat that promise. Can't feed the child on promise. I can't eat that promise. I listen to your condemnations like a pastor in a church giving a fiery sermon. I listen to all your solutions and your constant assurance you fix every situation. Promises, mommy, nothing ever satisfying you. Nothing ever good at all in anything other people do. Nothing that they say to you is true. Cause you only see the world in them two colors, red or blue. And like sheep they follow, see how low they could go. Where the road leads them to, they will never know. Mommy said the truth never dies. The grass no green on the other side. Promises, I can't pay my bill on promise. Promises, I can't go to shop on promise. Promises, I can't take the bus on promise. Promises, I can't pay school fee. You could promise me what you want. You could promise me anything that you want. I can't eat that promise. Can't feed the child on promise. Can't pay school fee on promise. Refuse to be gracious in defeat. Don't have the guts to even accept the fact that we got beat. Like kids in a cricket match. As soon as we get out, we run home with the cricket bat. Promises, papi.
Chérie, tout ça, nous vivons qu'un ma petit mot d'amour, un moment difficile, ma toujours là pour chérie, moi, tout moi d'amour, qui t'aime chanter pour là. Moi, papa, ça roulait, tout, j'ai fait mer. Moi, papa, tout ça roulait, tout, j'ai fait mer. Moi, papa, ça roulait, chérie, tout, j'ai fait mer. Moi, papa, tout ça roulait, tout, j'ai fait mer. Moi, les longs fleurs soleil, c'est où maîtresse journée. Dans moment difficile, m'a toujours là pour chérie, moi d'amour, tout moi d'amour, qui t'aime chanter pour là. Moi papa, ça roulait, qui t'aime parler au dit, raconter au chauffeur. Moi papa, tout ça roulait, moi papa, ça roulait, Dem gade se ou di mwen chef champion. Mwen papa ou tout ça ou Caribi. Chef champion. Tombe mwen tombe la. Tombe mwen tombe, ki te male. Tombe mwen tombe la. Tombe mwen tombe, doudoum kole. Donon play a kapale, donon macho chéri kole. Donon play a kapale, mwen pata kwa sa t'arrive, doudoum kole. Donon play a kapale, donon macho chéri kole. Donon play a kapale, mesdames yo rele, you the west. Tombe mwen tombe la. Tombe mwen tombe. Donon play baba, tombe. Tombe mwen tombe la. Tombe mwen tombe. Ake moun kou det fini, chini tout sa mwen santi. Afe ple sa fini, je fè mè doutou mwen mwen santi. Ake moun kou det fini, chini tout sa mwen santi. Afe ple sa fini, je fè mè doutou mwen mwen santi. Doudou kole, doudou play a kapale. Doudou macho chéri kole. Doudou play a kapale. Mwen pata kwa sa t'arrive. Doudou kole. Doudou play a kapale. Doudou macho chéri kole. Doudou play a kapale.
Yeah, but let me say a pleasant good night one time. It's a Friday night.
Fini, chéri tout ça mwen santi. A fe play sa fini. Je fè mè doutou mwen santi.
It's already 14 minutes past your of it. On a beautiful, beautiful Friday night.
Sa pa nan intensyon, mache fè jolè. Ti mwen tou piti, mwen leve depi. Sa yo rele pi, pa yo atakti. Se pa nou ki chwasil, men se bon Dieu outi. Non, pi ka montre nan kanapa.
It's all about the August Monday weekend.
Non, pi ka fè internasyonal la.
Yeah, man, know you mean we're getting you guys pumped and ready for the weekend. Let me say good night to all the bus drivers and all the folks on there in Marigot. A special good night to Miss Williams and family.
Ou gen 5 secondes pour convertir. Thanks, sir. Boy. Here we go. Hands in the air. Hands in the air. Rock it down to forever. Baby, just have a buzz. Rock it down to forever. Baby, just have a buzz. Something way high. Salient. Something way high. Don't ever something way high. Oh, got it in the high. Got it in the fly. High. Here we go, hands in the air, hands in the air. Watch them move for LA. Les beats savent boss. Watch them move for LA. Les beats savent boss. Watch them move for LA. Les beats savent boss. Watch them move for LA. Mais tout ça déjà, tout ça déjà, tu vois ça, c'est pas votre filet. Nous faisons révolution, dans cultivation, nous sommes révélation, fait tout le temps. Oh, pas placer jugement, oh, pour tes contents, influence à nous côté pour. Who's the bear with the old dog swagger that knows what matters the most? Who's the bear with the old dog swagger that the ladies love the most? Yo imité, yo pas sur ma voix, yo imité. Yo pas besoin d'avouer. Oh, pas placer jugement. Oh, pour t'es content. Quand ça n'a fait, quand ça nous fait content. Who's the bear with the old dog swagger that knows what matters the most? Who's the bear with the old dog swagger that the ladies love the most? We the best. We the best. We your imitator. We the best. We your pop, your pop. We the best.
My folks up there in Bellevue Show, baby, it's Savannah.
Who you wanna be like? I wanna be like Carlo. Who you want? What you want? Who you wanna be like? I wanna be like Bishop. Who you want? What you want? Who you wanna be like? I wanna be like my girl. Who you want? What you want? Who you wanna be like? I wanna be. We got that swagger, man. We got that swagger, man. We got that swagger. All my people in the house, sing. Y'all can't be there. Just saw. Bagay met pa pase, pes la gen tan gaye, mwen di ou li pa normal, nouvel bagay, oh, mwen di ou li pa normal, nouvel bagay, yo si nan New York City, ki gan pouve, kope chi lop jazz monte, you don't know, sa kali mi pase, se ou ge yo gele nan telefon, tin la vi nou ananje, you don't know, sa kali mi pase, de jou an jou la vi komplike, paske nan pre tout kote, bagay met pa pase, pes la gen tan gaye, mwen di ou li pa normal, nouvel bagay, oh, mwen di ou li pa normal, nouvel bagay, se ou ge yo gele nan telefon, tin la vi nou ananje, you don't know, sa kali mi pase, yo ti nan California, just like to make a loca say kisa, you don't know, sa kali mi pase, papa la ti yon bayi, mo ti a plan la ri, Cuba. Essa fé com meu irmão. Para se cair, dale pasión. you ready? Ready, ready. Wanna take your love, not to show you back. Are you ready? Ready, ready. Wanna take your love, not to show you back. Tu papa, Mexicana, dan pogar, san que velar. I think pogar, san que velar. Ufema, sin fanatic, yo, ufema, que sayutina, muri pukalimi. Let's Dance for me, dance for me, wine for me, wine for me, smile for me, smile for me, sing for me, sing for me.
Yeah, but know you been a different vibes on a Friday night. We're doing this one there rough and smooth. We call this one Dance for Me.
Dance for me, wine for me, wine for me.
Yeah, man, just burst a wine for me. Just burst a wine for me.
Sing for me.
If you got it locked in, a special good night to you.
Don't let them see your problem. Even though you own them, Baba God go better. You still look so fine, no matter what they say. Yeah, I still goes on with drinking rosé. So if you don't happy yourself, nobody go to happy for you. If you don't enjoy yourself, nobody go to come enjoy for you. Somebody try break rover, now you the take Okada. Make you know what they want. Dance for me, wine for me, wine for me, smile for me, smile for me, sing for me, sing for me. Make you dance to the rhythm. Don't let them see your problem. Even though you own them, Baba God go better. You still look so fine, no matter what they say. Yeah, I still goes on with drinking rosé. So if you don't happy yourself, nobody go to happy for you. If you don't enjoy yourself, nobody go to come enjoy for you. Somebody try to like that. You the I don't want this young touching body. Cause you know say my papa don't like them. Listen up. See, Shalewa, Paloma. I get this friend when we get from Calabar, Labake, Father. Come to think she be my personal person. But anytime when she come around, she get this feeling where they do me like fever. And when she dance with my mess, ooh, they do me like Senna for Panda. Me like how she play the bass line. It makes me sing ooh la la la. The way she that, it makes me sing ooh la la la. Oh yeah. But when we come back, she a jump. Daddy come to me a first. And when they ask me, it wasn't me. That's why me talk say I don't like this shirt, but your body. Cause you know say my mama don't like them. I don't want this shirt, but your body. Cause you know say my papa don't like them. Oh na na na. If I dance, she go dance. And if I move, she go move. If I dance, mama she go dance. And if I move, say she go move. She go do, papa kungolo, papa kungolo, mama kungolo, papa kungolo, mata kungolo, it's a mata kungolo. For example, say I do my hair like this, somebody go like that. I do the hair like that, everybody go like this. What is if I dance, she go dance. And if I move, she go move. Baby mama, if I dance, how much she go dance? I like it. If I move, say
That's right. Let me pick up the crew down there in Fields Lane. What you say, Carol and the rest of the crew?
I'm lucky about you, sexy lucky, and someone told me to go down, something lucky, bumpy, bumpy, lucky, girl, kiss me, baby, let me show you how I do. Watch it, if I dance, she go dance. If I move, she go move. Baby mama, if I dance, how much she go dance? I like it. If I move, say she go move. Ah yeah. What's the heavy? What's the volume? What's the press? Ah yeah. Ah yeah. What's the heavy? What's the volume? What's the press?
Right on cue, right on cue. Right on cue, right on cue.
Ah yeah. Ah yeah. What's the heavy? What's the volume? Ah yeah. What's the heavy? What's the volume?
Right on cue, right on cue.
What's the heavy? What's the
Right on cue, right on cue.
Ah yeah. What's the heavy? What's the volume? Okay, ah yeah. So baby, anything I say, anything I do, baby, I dance and go crazy. Anything I say, anything I do, baby, I dance and go crazy. Take you, my baby, for your body already. You are driving me crazy. You are the body, my lady. You catch my fantasy, and me are too crazy. Remember you, I marry. For your body, I go crazy. Yeah, yeah, man. Anything I say, anything I do, baby, I dance and go crazy. Anything I say, anything I do, baby, I dance and go crazy. That's only my number. Your number one, me I conquer. I am a mirrorly a banker. You fly you in my choppers, yeah. Call me get money, get plenty money. Spend all of it on you, sexy mommy, baby. I know go tingle you, baby. I know go gamble you, baby. I know go squish you, baby. I know go shame you. Going for days, waiting for days. We going for days and days and days for days and days. We going for days, waiting for days. We going for days and days and days for days and days and days. Let's go right into the venue. We bang bang rolling, rolling. Let's get that people in venue. Vibe like champagne, flowing, flowing. Hi, 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 hi. Look at we higher than play. When the party done, we not satisfied. We go on next one again. We don't play, but we never play a hating. On the road we celebrating. Everybody congregating. We don't play, but we never play a hating. On the road we celebrating. Everybody conversating. We going for days, waiting for days. We going for days and days and days and days and days and days. We going for days and waiting for days. We going for days and days and days and days and days and days. If you ever catch me with 1 foot on the fence and 1 on the ground, because the energy is so high, we don't want to come down. Find yours, the whole team back on the road. Yeah. Find yours, every carnival fest is a go. Yo, 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 tell them trouble start again. Come to buy you missing them. I don't look on the ready to come on the girl and somebody face again. Tell them trouble start again. This festival sweet for days. I put up on the virtual, you know I get back outside and party with my friends. Down the verse, every boat ride. You're a cool up it. Rich down market. Everywhere we cause in a scene, yeah. Fancy all in one. It could a day or night. Even a small line, nothing in this in the no. Set them find the cure. So the whole team back on the road. Yeah. We outside, them find the cure. And every carnival fete